Hey, you know what time it is. It's 8 a.m. Eastern time. Well, kind of, sort of. And hey, I'm not Meredith Elliott Powell, but you have found Sales Logic. My name's Mark Hunter. You know me, but sitting in today, co-hosting, Brynne Tillman. Welcome, Brynne Tillman. Hey, we're going to get back to more of an introduction with you, but let's first of all tip the audience what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about how to use networking to drive sales. When we come back from the opening video, Brynne will introduce herself.
Prospect with integrity, we will get customers who have integrity. Integrity is the foundation from which everything is built on.
You better understand value. But at the end of the day, sales is a relationship business. It is a people business. It is an emotional business.
This is Sales Logic.
You bet this is Sales Logic. I'm Mark Hunter. Meredith is a little bit under the weather, so with me today is Brynne Tillman. Brynne, welcome. Tell the audience real quickly kind of who you are, what you're about.
Oh, thank you, Mark. I'm so excited to be here. Usually I'm in the audience every Saturday, so I'm thrilled to be on the other side of the mic. The other side, I'm Brynne Tillman. I am the CEO of Social Sales Link and co-founder of The Modern Banker. And we help people start more sales conversations by using the power of LinkedIn.
Oh, and that's great because the topic today is we're talking about how to use networking to drive sales. Now, before I kind of unpack the rest of it, let me tell you how the show works. Each week, we dive into a topic that's going to bring you value and interest that you can use. We highlight a question from you, the audience. So please submit your questions. And of course, we end with a lightning round. So we're going to see how Brynne does this week on the lightning round. But hey, let's get into it. The topic, how to use networking to drive sales. The question comes from John in Wichita, Kansas. He says, I'm new to sales, just 23 years of age. And I'm also new to Wichita. My boss says I need to network, get connected in our community. I have no idea how or where to start. Ideas. Honestly, I'm a little scared. Brynne, jump in.
Yeah, I get it. Networking can feel daunting. There are a few things I recommend. First, define who you are looking to network with. And there are two types of folks. You have your prospects that you want to network with and your referral partners, networking partners, people that sell to your prospects but are not competitors. So we need to figure out where they're hanging out. Are they at Chamber of Commerce meetings? Are they at B&I meetings? Where are they? Because we can't network with them until we find them. So I think that's the first step, right?
Hey, I love what you're saying there because again, you're saying break it down into smaller audiences. And this is so key because I'm sure John is overwhelmed, because there's a lot of people. How do I know? But when you know who you're looking for, and I like, because you raised two groups, kind of the people you can network that you can refer, people can refer to and people you can sell to. And I also kind of look for a third group. Who are some of those people who I can just find value in hanging out with or helping? In other words, these are people who I can help lift up and they can help me lift up because, in the words of Jim Rohn, you become the sum of the 5 people you associate with the most. Yeah. So anyway, jump in because I have a feeling you've got a lot more that you want to share.
Well, so yeah, now if you don't know where to start, I actually would say start with your local Chamber of Commerce, reach out to them, find out, what events they have. And here's the thing, if you're going to a lot, there's networking in person and there's also digital networking. And I'm happy to talk about that side. But the in-person networking, there are a couple things you could do to make this a little bit easier. One of them is find a networking partner, someone who is not related to you or your business in any way. And when I started networking, this made it so much easier for me. So let's say Mark and I are afraid to network, but we know we need to. So we're going to the same event. And Mark says, I really want to meet CROs and heads of sales teams. And I say, you know what? I really want to meet VP of marketing. And you say, okay, I'm going to go into this looking to make introductions for you. And you go in this making introductions for me. And so now it becomes easier because I am detaching from my pitch, from trying to figure out how I can get in what I do. Because my goal now is to find people to introduce Mark to.
Oh, I love what you're saying there. I love that. That is so cool. It's so interesting. A couple of years ago, I moved to Dallas, Texas, and I knew a lot of people in Dallas already, but certainly didn't know Dallas, at large. And so there were networking groups, and I did just what you did. I said, hey, there's somebody who I know is going to be there, and who can I introduce them to? And you kind of cross match people. But more importantly, when I went to networking events, and this is going to apply to you, John, there are going to be some that you're going to find just not worth it, just not worth attending. So you're right. That's what I did. I'd attend them for 3 or 4 times, and no, just not there. Drop them. Zero in, focus in on the ones where your customers or your referral partners or those who you can benefit or benefit them, hang out. That's where you want to spend time. Hey, let's talk about digital, because you've just got a few ideas regarding how to network digital.
A couple. So I'll start with bridging the in-person to digital, and then we can move to digital. So now we are at these meetings, we're meeting with people. Pull out your LinkedIn app, and there's a QR code if you look in the little search bar, there's a tiny little QR code. One tab is a QR code that goes to your profile, and the other one is a scan code. And when you are out and about in person, start connecting with people on LinkedIn. Now, here's the trick. Write a message beforehand that says, great meeting you at ABC Networking Group. I'm looking forward to continuing our conversation. So now they scan your code or you scan their code and you put in this message, and you will know when you go back, number one, let's say you ask them to connect, you put in a personal message, ask them to connect, and they accept, that's now in your inbox because you had a message as an unread message in theirs as well. So we'll remind you to continue the conversation. But also in a year from now, when you're like, oh, where did I meet Mark? Oh, now I know, right? So it does all kinds of great things there. So let's say we've connected with people that are networking partners. So these are people that we are going to continue having conversations where we can bring value to one another. Open up your network to them and you search their network. Find the 15 or 20 people that they know that meet your criteria. And by the way, you can do this in the free LinkedIn, and bring the list to one another and say, hey, Mark, here are the 12 people I want to meet. And you say, here are the 18 people that I want to meet. And we whittle it down to 2 or 3 meaningful introductions that we make at the end of that meeting. And now every one of your networking meetings it ends up with real introductions into people you want to meet.
Hey, our guest host today is Brynne Tillman. Meredith is out sick today, so Brynne is filling in, and this is awesome what you're sharing, Brynne, because you really have shared a couple things. A, you take LinkedIn with you to the networking event. So many times what happens is we go to the networking event and we think LinkedIn kind of sits off separately or social media sits. No, you're integrating the two right there together. I love that. And the other piece is also by connecting with them by way of LinkedIn, it gives you, I think, a faster, better approach to be able to follow up with them after the event. Because how many times have you received a card from somebody, again, the old school way, and then you email them and they go like, I don't remember who this person is. I have no idea. But now, because you got the LinkedIn profile there, you got their picture there, it's much more conducive to networking and keeping the conversation going. I love those strategies. What are some more strategies?
So the next one, and to John, who may say, I don't even know where to go or where to begin, take inventory of your first degree connections. Now you're new to an area as well as new to this job. So you may not have a ton of people in Wichita, but you may have a few. So start with the people there that you are already connected to and let them know, this is what I'm doing. Who do you know? What associations do you know? Can you, it could be a huge opportunity for you to not only let these folks know what you're doing now, but if they're integrated into your community already, they may be able to make some introductions for you as well. Here's the other thing. And if you have a mentor inside of your organization, or someone that is really there to help you, one of the things you can do with them is look at maybe some strategic partners that they're willing to introduce you to. Now, they're probably not going to introduce you to their prospects because they're in sales too, but there may be some vendors that they can introduce you to that you can start to network with. And one of the best ways to get vendors to network with, and this may happen, John, after you've really developed some relationships and some clients, but ask your clients, who are their other trusted advisors? That is, in my opinion, one of the best ways to network. Because if I reach out and I say, hey, Mark, you and I both work with Meredith. She had such great things to say about you. I'd love to learn a little bit more about what you're doing and explore if there's some opportunities where we may be able to refer one another. He's not going to say no. We share a client, right? And so that's how you can start to build those very strategic, trusted advisors to network with.
I love what you're talking about here because there's so many key things. And, one of the things I want to hone in on is it's quality versus quantity.
Yes.
And this is regardless of, this doesn't just apply to John in Wichita, but it applies to every one of us. And I'm going to go back, and there's a networking event that I attend here in Dallas almost every month. And it's about 200 really movers and shakers in Dallas. And there's a wide audience of people, but I hone in on who are the 2 or 3. Who are the 2 or 3 people? And it may take a couple of months. Oh, wait a minute. I see somebody sitting over there. I want to connect with them all. Okay, so maybe I don't, but the next month I focus my target on a few individuals. And it's interesting, but I've been able to do this over the last year and a half with this group, and I've come away with some significant opportunities by not trying to meet all 200 people. And think about every networking event, there's always a different mix of people. But who are those 5 or 10 people, the movers and the shakers? And what's interesting is, have you ever noticed how there's always, in any networking event, there's always a few people that clearly they're the go-to people. They are the go-to people. And you may not be able to get in with them on the first visit, but within the second or third visit, they begin to see you, you begin to see them. And it's amazing. And again, that's a technique that I've used, and it has worked powerfully in terms of opening up doors to create opportunities for sales. Hey, I want to come back because you've got so many strategies regarding LinkedIn. If you're just catching us right now, Meredith is out sick today. Brynne Tillman is filling in her seat. We're talking about networking, how to use networking to drive sales. So share another strategy regarding LinkedIn where it may not be a physical networking event, but you want to network with them digitally.
So there's lots of ways to do this. One of my favorites is with polls. So you can go out and put out a poll that will attract the right people, and you can even send it to the right people. And you may say, well, how am I networking with a poll? Well, you now know how someone feels or believes or thinks about a subject, and you can start a conversation. Often I will start with a blog post, create a poll, and then the blog post will get updated with the results that I get. And now I go one-on-one with each person and say, hey, I've really gained a lot of insights from this poll. I'd love to share with you where you benchmark with your peers. Are you open to a conversation? And so we can open the door with a poll. We can open the door with an event on LinkedIn. If you put out an event, particularly a free event is a better way to do this, because you are going to invite people. And when they get an invitation, they think it's going to be free. So you don't want them to feel like it was a bait and switch. But you can put out an event and you can invite up to 1,000 people a week to a LinkedIn event. Now, they may not all be able to go, but they might say they're attending, and they may add, and you can even ask them to add something in comments. And you can literally network in your own events comments or in someone else's events comments. I mean, I have made friends engaging in the sales logic comments in the events. I have made connections. Natalie is one of my favorite people, and I met her in the comments of Sales Logic, right? So you can network creating your own networking events or even networking in other people's events.
See, I love what you said because you just gave away one of the deep secrets of Sales Logic, why we love to stream it live. And of course, it goes as a podcast because it's amazing. The live audience, of which you're out there almost every week. You're right. I've created a tremendous number of relationships from people who just found Sales Logic and have begun following. And your story, like you said, you connected with Natalie. And you're right. I hear that almost every week from somebody who is connecting with somebody else. And that's powerful. But there's something else that I love here about this, because again, not only can you do your own events, but you just chime in. But it's not chiming into hey, buy from me, buy from me. You're genuinely connecting with people, sharing advice and tips. And that's one of the things that I love because, there are a lot of online connections I create where my goal is to create the offline conversation. Now, the offline conversation, what I mean, it might be a Zoom call, might be a Teams call, might even be a phone call. But that's when you know that, wow.
What is it? A phone call?
A phone call. I know. Yeah. It's yeah. You have this little smart device that it does work for home. But what I love about that is that ability to use the internet, use LinkedIn as a networking, and then you draw it down into one-to-one conversations. Absolutely.
I love that. And that really makes me think about, it's so important that we treat the people on the other side of the message the same way we would if they were on the other side of the table. We would not walk up, shake hands with someone and start pitching, or you might, but you'd get thrown out of the event pretty quickly, right? So treat them as the human being that they are. Just because it's digital doesn't mean you get to pitch. Right? You have to earn the right to get the conversation, and through that conversation, you have to earn the right to get them interested in what you do. And so pitching is going to do the antithesis of what you're looking to achieve.
I have to admit, we're almost 17 and a half minutes into the show, and Brynne used the word pitch for the first time, because that's a word you use a lot, because you, right? Connect and pitch. Oh, man.
It's bait and switch.
Yes. I mean, that is your line. That's your hallmark. And that's so true, because again, it's about developing a relationship. Yeah. And I look over the years at various networking events that I've attended where there was a gentleman who I sat next to at a networking event probably 8 or 9 years ago in the DC area that I just happened to be at. And that gentleman has wound up connecting me with dozens and dozens of people. He doesn't even realize it, but he connects me with one person. And because again, we have to look at networking as not one-to-one, but it's a continuous process of connecting people. And this person I met in DC, over the years, various people he's connected me with, and hopefully I've connected him with people, but we have both generated substantial sums of business for both of us. The power of networking. Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Hey, what would you say are the no-nos of networking? I'd love to hear what you say. Ooh, never do this. Never do this.
Yeah. So never work the room. People know when you're doing that, right? So don't walk up to someone, introduce, pitch your thing, take their card, move to the next person. So what you said, I love. It's quality over quantity. If you can have 2 or 3 meaningful interactions that lead to a future conversation, that's a big win. This is not a contest in how many business cards can we collect, right? And here's the thing. This is what happens. When you do that, you take those cards home and you stick a rubber band around them and you stick them in the corner of your desk and you never look at them again. So that, right? And so this was not this contest. Who got the most cards wins. No, often who got the most cards is going to lose. So really think of this as meaningful conversations. The next no-no, it's really, I want to give a tip, but because the question is what's a no-no, I'm going to flip it and reframe it as a negative, is don't not ask the leader of the group who you should meet. So, okay, so a mistake is not doing this. So if you're new to a group, whomever is leading that group, go to them and say, look, here are the people I'm looking to network with. Don't tell them who you want to sell, but who do you want to network with? And is there anyone that's going to be here today that looks like that? And would you be open to making some introductions for me? They want that networking meeting to be successful. So if they can make meaningful introductions for you and someone else in the group, it's a big win.
Can I add something to that?
Please.
Yes, I'm going to add. Hey, make sure you offer to them. Hey, how can I help you? How can I connect people with you? What can I do to help you make this event more successful? I have found that's such a leading opening question. How can I help you? Somebody introduce, hey, and again, when we make the other person the focus, it's amazing what happens. Hey, wow, time is running past really quick. We've got to get to the book. The book, I hope everybody's read it by now, but Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone. Yeah. What are your thoughts on, have you had a chance to read the book?
Years ago.
Well, yes, it's been out. There's been quite a few lunches and breakfasts we both have had since that time. Yes.
Yeah. It was a game changer for me. And, it's funny, when I read that book, I found a seat at a local, like a Panera type place. And I would just book people all day and I'd buy everyone a cup of coffee.
See, I love that, because that's the style I use. I would rather meet somebody for coffee, because this way, okay, if the dog don't hunt, we can kind of exit faster. If it's working great, fine. But it does allow, because I found that if I can catch up with somebody for coffee at 9:30, 10 o'clock, or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, oftentimes people don't have time to meet for lunch, or they don't want to meet for breakfast because they're just not an early morning person. But 2 or 3 o'clock for coffee, they'll be game on. But the idea is to make sure you're connecting with people. Great book, Keith Ferrazzi, Never Eat Alone. Okay, Brynne Tillman is our guest host, and you're doing really well. You're doing great.
Phew.
Yes. We're gonna cue you up into the official guest host category. Are you ready for the lightning round?
Yeah.
Okay, top 10 areas to focus on if you want to rock your sales goal. Go.
Make sure that you understand your customer avatar, exactly who it is that you want to meet. And bonus on this, figure out what the filters are in LinkedIn to find more of those people.
Okay, you're stealing that one from me, because I was going to say know your ICP, and that's exactly what you said. I'm going to take it, know the outcomes that you create, and make sure those outcomes are still just as relevant today as they were maybe last quarter or last year. Number 3, go ahead.
Connect with all of your stakeholders on LinkedIn and then search their connections to see who they know that you want to meet and open up your connections to them.
I love it. You're keeping it as a LinkedIn theme. I love this. Number 4, make sure that you're going back to all of your past customers, all of your previous customers who have rejected you, because it's amazing. You've developed a relationship. You've connected with them. There's some equity there. There is undoubtedly business there if you would just reach out to them. Number 5 is yours.
So we kind of mentioned this, but use polls to reach out to prospects, sort of as a discovery-ish, but also to start conversations around topics they're interested in.
Number 6, check your day. Are you staying disciplined in how you're using your time? People begin falling off on their goal. They start panicking. And it's amazing how time spins out of control. Get focused. You know what your plan is. Stay locked in. Number 7.
So target accounts based on what accounts you have a first degree connection in. In LinkedIn, you can pick by location, by industry, by company size, and then you can click the first degree button and you can identify all the companies that meet your criteria that you already have a connection in.
Number 8, take a look at the questions you've been asking and challenge yourself. Are these questions really uncovering the right information? Remember, it's not what you share, it's the questions you ask that are going to get you to really the promised land of new business for you. Number 9 for you.
Lead to your solution, not with it. When you lead with your solution, it's a pitch. When you lead to your solution, you're adding value and insights that get people interested in having a conversation with you.
Wow. And hey, number 10, make sure you're associating with people who are going to help you and you can help them. That's why sales logic is so critical, because the community, as Brynne pointed out, is absolutely fantastic. And it's the exchange of information, because it's amazing. A rising tide lifts all boats. Hey, with that, we want to say thank you for listening to Sales Logic this week. If you like what you hear, subscribe, rate, and review the show on your favorite podcast app. We need more reviews. Please leave us a review. If you like what you hear, hey, share it with a friend. And more importantly, if we've helped make you $1, let us know, would you? Send us your questions. Send us your comments. We love to hear from you. I'm Mark Hunter, and
I'm Brynne Tillman.
Not Meredith Elliott Powell. And hey, and this is Sales Logic, where it's all about helping you sell with integrity and confidence. Great selling.